Hey, everybody. We're back with another book review. So as I mentioned, I am attempting to read 52 books this year in the 52 weeks that we have. So just like last week, I actually read this one, posted about it on my Facebook page after I read it, and kind of was pretty cool. First of all, the book is called Unleashed by Justin Ford. I read this on the plane from Orlando back to Traverse City after a conference, and Justin spoke there. But in fact, I met Justin in Traverse City back in August of 2022, where he was on stage talking about his story and really impacted me. And in fact, I was able to tell Justin in Orlando, I guess a few weeks ago now, that he was the reason why I signed up for coaching. So after 17 years in this business, I hired my first real estate coach, which was pretty cool. And part of it is in this book and on the why I did that. So I won't get into a lot of the gory details of the first chapter or so of this book in his backstory, but I will tell you a little bit. This Justin came from a background which a lot of people have, but his is a little unique, where he was actually arrested 13 times. One of them was a felony, and you'll read a lot of that in this book. But that sets the stage for the 7 key principles that he talks about in this book and how he overcame those. So I have some notes just behind the camera there that I'll keep referencing, but we'll talk a little bit about those and my takeaways. So what is the book, right? So we talked about in the first one, the 3 questions that we're gonna talk about. What is the book? So the book, again, Unleashed by Justin Ford. He's self-published. So we'll put in the comments on how you can buy this book after we finish taping. So first principle of his keys to success and overcoming is finding your why or your purpose. There's a lot of people that talk about this, and in fact, it's quite interesting when you get into your why, and that why changes too as you become a better leader and different things happen in your life. Your why can change. So he talks about his why, his purpose in life, and what drove him to where he's at today. So one of the key things we'll talk about in a lot of these different books that we're reading is they actually intertwine. And I was just talking about this. It's hard to talk about some of these books because they overlap so much, but there's a reason for that. A lot of times when you're going through either self-development or leadership or whatever it is, a lot of these folks talk about the same principles, but they teach them in different styles. And that proverb that I think is a Chinese proverb that says the teacher will appear when the student is ready. So you start reading books or listening to podcasts or going to seminars, and you're hearing a lot of the same things, and there's one time that it'll actually click for you. So think about your why and why you're doing what you're doing to get to the end result. That's the first key principle, is trying to figure out what your why would be. The second principle is your vision. So when people do this all the time, it's actually a creative way to get your vision and what that looks like to you is by creating a vision board. So keeping your vision in front of you all the time will help. So whether it's on your refrigerator or your whiteboard, like mine is behind me, or behind you actually at this point, you put things that your goal setting and all these things that you do to keep in front of you all the time. So create that vision. First your why, then create the vision behind that to help you stay on track to move forward. This one was pretty interesting. Key 3 is forgiveness. So anytime you're walking through life and you have people that have wronged you, if you've wronged others, getting to the mindset where you can forgive. Sometimes, and he talks about this, whether it's somebody that has passed away and you can't physically talk to them, it's forgiving them in your heart. And it's things that'll open up your ability to move forward, move past something that is you've struggled with for a long time. So that one was pretty cool. I know we all struggle with that, right? We've all done things we wish we hadn't, or vice versa. Maybe something was done to us, and we just have to forgive and move on from it. The next one, principle 4, freedom of fear. And a lot of times what fear consists of is the loss of something. So if you're thinking about starting a business, I know we just, we're getting ready to celebrate year 2 in Cultura Real Estate. In fact, hopefully you saw that. We just rebranded. There's a lot of fear that comes along with putting yourself out there and doing different things, but overcoming that fear, trying to free yourself, just like forgiveness, free yourself of that fear. In fact, there's another book that I've read and I'm rereading now. It's called Mastering Fear. A 10-year veteran of the Navy SEALs talks about mastering that fear, which we'll talk about in an upcoming book review. But that's a great one that you look at, and fear is just something that we put out there. And a lot of times, what people say it stands for, fear. Geez, I'm forgetting it now. False evidence appearing real. So we just put this in our mind. We set the stage that this is a big thing, whether it's swimming, water, open water, whatever it is. We have this fear of the unknown, fear of loss. So overcoming that, the freedom of fear. Principle 5, understanding the process. So this is interesting, goes back to your vision, to understanding the process in which you have to go on. So you're making a plan for your vision, for your story, and to understand the process that you're going through to accomplish that. And in fact, there's a great story in this book that talks about Joseph. It's a biblical story that talks about Joseph and his journey with his brothers and his dad, and I won't go into that. It's a great read, and how he writes that into the book was really captivating. But talking about the process and staying with your process, even though you have a lot of outside influence. If you've got a goal, you've got your vision, you've got your why, to understand and keep with that process is really, really big. Consistency. Now, that's another thing you'll hear a lot about in these book reviews, is the consistency of doing something. So, understanding the process. This one has been huge in my life. Number 6, mentorship and accountability. So again, to the second point of that, the accountability part, one of the hardest things I had to do, and yet one of the easiest things, is to hire a coach. That accountability process for me has been enormous. It's been helpful. But the other side of that, if your mentor, maybe they can be the same person that keeps you accountable, helps you along the way. I've had a lot of mentors in my life. I've got a few right now that I lean on. Obviously, one is my new real estate coach. But I was actually fortunate enough to give away an award this past year to a mentor of mine who meant a lot to me, and I credit to him the reason why I'm at where I'm at today professionally, and in a lot of ways personally. So finding a mentor, reaching out to them. If you don't have one now, reach out to somebody that you look up to, and then just ask them for a coffee and see if that can be a regular thing that you guys go through. Giving to that mentor too, not monetarily, but time and making sure you're listening to them. So mentoring and accountability, absolutely huge. That's been a big impact in my life. And then 7, the last one, is humility in your path, in your journey. So making sure that you stay humble as you grow, making sure you stay to who you are throughout this process. It's absolutely necessary. When we start to acquire wins in our life, we can certainly, and I'm no different, that we can look at the outside world a little bit differently, but we want to make sure that the humility of it stays, and we continue to help and grow others. And we talked about that in the first book review we did, is to build that ladder, right? Is to have that ladder and hold that ladder as you climb. You're now holding it for others, as John Maxwell talks about. So those are the 7 keys in this book. I found it wildly inspiring. It talks a lot about faith in the Lord, but that's not the entirety of this book. I want you to read this, regardless of what you think about the church or anything like that. Has a lot of great principles that you can take and move yourself forward in your developmental growth. So there is an 8th secret weapon in this book. I'll leave that for you to read. But I want to thank Justin for writing this book, being courageous, mastering his fear, if you will, by being on stage, telling his story, as difficult as it is. You can see him all over the country. He speaks a lot. He's from the Detroit area, so you can probably see him from not too far away from home, if you will. I'm from Michigan, from Traverse City, so easy for me to go see him. But I saw him in Traverse City and I saw him in Orlando. So these are things that we put ourselves out there. Again, I want to thank Justin for putting himself out there and telling his story, writing this book, continuing to give himself to those that are ready to learn, those students, if you will. So again, the book is Unleashed. This is our second book review that we've done. And again, I'll put in the comments on how you can purchase this book. But again, thanks, Justin Ford. Thanks to everybody that's watching this. And I hope you enjoy what we're trying to do here. These books mean a lot to me. That's why we're reading them. That's why we want to give back to you. So please subscribe to the channel so you'll be able to get these every time we put them out. Theoretically, we're going to put one out a week moving forward. So at least one a week, because I've only got two, and we're in February now. So thanks again. I appreciate it, and we'll chat at you soon.